before you're even through that door. You stop every cowboy talking, cause their jaws all hit that floor. Come on! If you were my baby, I would treat you like a lady, like a brand new Mercedes on the first night out. Kiss you in the country, take it slow like honey, and be gentle with your body when the lights go down. As long as that sun keeps coming on up, as sure as that sky is blue, you're always gonna be too good for me, and I'll always be good to you. You're like a big bright diamond, and I'm a little more red dirt. But girl, the way that you're shining makes me wanna show you what you're worth. And I'm a little bit more cheap beer, and you're a little more fine wine. My buzz kicks into high gear when you're in these hands of mine, yeah. If you were my baby, I would treat you like a lady, like a brand new Mercedes on the first night out. Kiss you in the country, take it slow like honey, and be gentle with your body when the lights go down. As long as that sun keeps coming on up, as sure as that sky is blue, you're always gonna be too good for me, and I'll always be good to you. If you were my baby, I would treat you like a lady, like a brand new Mercedes on the first night. Kiss you in the country, take it slow like honey, and be gentle with your body when the lights go down. As long as that sun keeps coming on up, as sure as that sky is blue, yes it is, you're always gonna be too good for me, and I'll always be good to you. You're always gonna be too good for me, and I'll always be good to you.
How is everybody doing? I hope you're all doing well. Can you guys all hear me fine? Thumbs up,
Hey, Rob.
thumbs up.
Yep. How you doing?
Awesome. Who is this talking? So I can pull you up.
Alan, for some reason, my computer doesn't recognize my camera this week. So
Awesome. What's up, Alan?
not much, but thanks for adding me into the other group. I appreciate it. I see there's some sort of reorganization going on too with Carly in the group. So hopefully that doesn't affect us.
Um, so the whole Gator thing is up in the air right now. Pace had asked me to do some Zooms that are targeting, like they're public facing, so
Yep.
that we can have people who are like Astro students and TTP students, and you know all the other people that Pace kind of interacts with,
Right.
to have a place where they can come and pitch deals to Gators, in hopes of securing funding. Um, I was already talking to Carly about that before Pace
Hmm.
mentioned that during that Zoom meeting. And I'm still waiting to hear details, like how they want me to proceed with that.
Okay.
Because there could be a very good chance that that's passed off to whoever they bring on to manage the community. So it's not something that I will necessarily do directly. It
Okay.
just depends.
Okay.
All right, give me one
That
second
makes
so
sense.
I can turn everyone. If you guys have any questions, please go into the bottom where it says reactions and raise your hands, and I will do my best to get to all of you. Let's see, I'm trying to launch this in Facebook also because I'm supposed to be doing that. So I'm gonna go into the creative real estate with Pace Morby Group. All right. We're live streaming. Awesome. All right. First thing I see is David Britt. Let me pull you up. Oh, hold on. I gotta admit more people. Okay. Thanks you guys for being here, for being patient with me. Hey, how's it going, Mr. David? How can I help you, sir?
Good. You and I were chatting the other day on one of the webinars about the PCS and how the structure of the corporate structure should be set up, whether it should be a capital holding that is doing the structure or another company underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, I have a LLC that I set up as as the holding company. And then I have another S Corp that I've had for a number of years, probably 15 years. It has 2 corporate credit cards underneath it already. I just don't have a Paydex number. I have a DUNS number, but not a Paydex number or a Paydex score underneath it yet. And so I was talking to PCS about that in my meeting with them, and it was a little bit confusing because I guess I read some of the chat in the Gator about people you shouldn't structure it with your holding company, others saying it doesn't really matter, others, and with the timing of being taking 4 to 5 months to get your DUNS number and all that stuff, I wanted to know which is the best way to structure it, because I want to get out of the gate running as hard as I can and as fast as I can without having to wait a long time to get credit cards and funding available, as well as get the Paydex score.
Yeah. Few things. First, at the moment, DUNS is not taking very long. It took me like literally 2 or 3 weeks from when I met with the credit rep, corporate credit rep from PCS to you go online and you fill out the whole DUNS registry, and it took just a few weeks. In fact, I contacted him early, my rep, so that we can set it up and get going earlier. So it's not taking very long. And I was approved for, I think I went with Chase for my bank. And I was approved for, I think, a $10,000 credit card, which is a pretty decent start. Now, corporate structure. I love to talk about this. So tell me about what you have a holding company that owns the LLC where you do majority of business, or they're two
No.
separate things, unrelated?
2 separate things unrelated. I had the S Corp. It was a C Corp at one time. My accountant a few years ago asked me to move it back or move it to an S Corp. So I did that. And so that's been going on for a long time. I've had that set up. It's a Kansas corporation. And then when I heard about Gator, and I was in the initial training courses on Gator early in this year, I talked to PCS about it, and it was recommended to go ahead and get the LLC started. So they set up the holding company this year. So that's been set up since probably April of this year.
And what state is that in?
It's in Wyoming.
Okay. And you did that, I'm assuming, because you value some sort of anonymity.
Correct.
Okay. In your LLC currently that you're doing, I'm assuming you're doing business in it regularly.
No, not in the LLC. I've not done anything in the LLC. Done absolutely nothing in it. All I've done is the S Corp, and I've done that for years.
Okay, so let me back up a little bit. Both of them are probably LLCs.
No,
One is filing as an S Corp.
no,
So
no.
S Corp is not a business structure. It's a filing status. So typically, like for my LLCs, all of my LLCs file as S corps.
That structure is correct. You can set up
Yeah.
an LLC that's either an S corp or a C corp in its function, but this was not the case. My S corp was in fact set up as an S corp in the state of Kansas. It was actually originally set up as a C corp, but it is now an S corp.
Interesting. And you don't do any business in it currently, you said?
Oh, I do a lot of business. Yeah, that's the one that I've had that I've done a lot of business in that would already has credit cards established in it.
Mhm.
Has 2 credit cards that's already established in it. I think maybe one of them have 16K and one of them 25K or something like that as their limits. I just never did maximum.
Okay, and what kind of businesses are they?
The real estate businesses.
Okay. Are they like wholesaling businesses? Are they also finance businesses? Are they just holding properties?
The S corp is its structure. Its articles of incorporation say it can do anything, any type of business that's needed. It's just been general establishment, very simple. But it mostly was for real estate. I have a real estate license in the state of Kansas. I'm a broker for Kansas and Missouri, and I ran most of my commissions and so forth through that. But I've also
Perfect.
done it for social media and tech work. I did it for a few other things, but most of it has been related to real estate.
Perfect. Got it. So I'll give you an example of how I structure my businesses. It's not the best way, it's just the way I do it, and the way I like to tell people to do it. And if it helps you, then I'm glad it's helpful. Is that fair?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So this is high tech 2022 technology right here for
All right.
everybody to see. But I don't have an iPad, so I can't do it like the pace thing. Okay. Let's see how good I can do this. All right. So let me allow everybody to enter the room. Admit. Okay. And just want to make sure I have the right microphone selected and everything looks good. Okay. So I have a holding company, HC holding company. Is it flipped or is it the right way around?
Mine, my S corp isn't owned by the LLC, if that's what
No,
you're
no,
asking.
no, no. I'm talking about the lettering. Is it mirrored or anything, or does it look
No,
correct?
no,
Yeah,
it looks
it
fine.
says
Yeah,
it
Okay,
says
okay.
HC.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it
okay,
says
perfect,
HC.
perfect. Because sometimes it does that. I don't understand why it does that. So, um, because I also value anonymity, I also did a holding company in Wyoming. Okay, why? This holding company owns a company. Um, it's an LLC in Texas. I do the majority of my business in Texas. Okay, this is owned by that. This LLC also acts as a um, as a holding company for all my Texas companies.
Okay,
Okay, because in one company I'll do W for wholesaling. Okay, wholesaling is a very different type of business than Gator lending, right?
sure.
They're taxed differently.
Yep.
Okay, which is a very different kind of business than uh, I'll put G here for Gator, which is a different kind of business than buy and holding, right? Those
Mhm.
are taxed differently. The the deductions are different. The depreciation is different. Everything is taxed differently. So these are all in that quasi holding company that is my Texas LLC,
Okay.
right? Most of these I recommend when you make 50K and above per year, you should probably designate all your LLCs to be S corps. My suggestion. But I'm not a CPA, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant. You know, we're all adults here. I think you're following what I'm saying. Get
Sure,
professional advice, right?
sure, absolutely.
Now, I did this because I also value anonymity, like you said. Now, I'm also an electrical contractor, but that wasn't something I was aware of, that I was able to do that in a way that was anonymous, and so I never did. The problem is, I'll put it over here, and I'll label it E for electrical. Oh, my pen's dying. E for electrical. Now this E for electrical LLC is separate from this whole structure, because if I take this company and I add it to this company here, the Texas holding company, it'll ruin anonymity, because everyone knows who owns this, because I filed it under my name when I filed it, right? Not knowing that that was a no-no for anonymity. If I bring this into this structure, then not violates, because it doesn't break any laws, but it messes up my goal of anonymity, which is why I keep them separate. Right? You're probably doing something very similar to this with your current
Correct,
S Corp.
correct.
I would not bring that under the Wyoming umbrella.
Okay,
Personally, my personal want and desire is just to not bring that under the Wyoming umbrella, because I don't want anyone to know who owns that Wyoming umbrella. You see what I'm saying?
I do, but I don't understand why, if even if it was there, as long as the others have their own anonymity, why would that, just because it has been filed with you, where's the flow of the structure? It just is owned by the anonymity, right? I mean, you could you not resign from that corporate structure yourself, or put yourself in a silent and let the LLC own that LLC?
So you could. Now, a very smart lawyer would probably not have a hard time tracking you down
Okay, because of past history.
because of past history. Exactly.
Gotcha.
You know. So the way I have, if you look at Texas, because these are all Texas companies. If you look at Texas, who filed and owns this company, all it would say is registered agent owned by this company. Okay, and then they would go to the other bank and look and see who owns this company. All it would say is registered agent owned by a holding company. And then they would go to Wyoming and look at this company and be like, all they see is registered agent, and it's owned, so this would be owned by a trust. The wisest way to do it. The reason we did it in Wyoming is because Wyoming won't tell you who owns it without a
Right.
court order, which is why we did that whole anonymity thing. But for like super secure Fort Knox type security, you want to eventually have a trust, because the only way to break a trust is by a judge's court order. A judge has to unseal a trust. There has to be lawsuits, right? So that's why we do that whole anonymity thing.
And you could create that trust later and have the Wyoming LLC then be owned by
Absolutely.
the trust? Okay. Gotcha.
Absolutely. Okay, hold on, Pierre asked the question. Your Texas LLC owns both active trade and passive trade entities. Did PCS advise that structure? The answer is yes, it owns both active companies and passive companies. They all funnel into this LLC, which I use as a quasi holding company for all my Texas companies. I also have an Oregon, I'll put on this side. I also have an Oregon quasi holding company that has all separate stuff. You should have one in every state, my personal opinion. Now, you don't have to do all this triple layer stuff. If you're buying and selling wholesale stuff in California, you can have just one LLC there, which is owned by the Wyoming one. I mean, you're adults here, you can get professional advice, and I'm just some guy on the internet, right?
So you're suggesting that the state that you're doing business in for your wholesaling or Gator whatever that state is, that you would get an LLC for that state to do business there?
Catering is a little bit different because you're kind of doing it all over, and it's not really like you're doing business in that state per se. But if you're buying and holding properties in multiple states, absolutely you need to have an LLC in each state.
Got it.
It's much easier for taxing for your CPA to, instead of filing as a foreign entity, whatever it is, in that particular state from one state to another,
Yep.
it's just easier to just have an LLC in that state.
Yeah, makes sense. That makes sense.
I hope I answered that correctly.
Yep, you
And
did.
that another place to go look for fantastic advice on YouTube is, dang it, it slipped my mind. I'm thinking of his name
Mark
right now.
Kohler.
What was it?
Mark Kohler.
Mark Kohler. Mark Kohler, Kohler and Associates. He has a YouTube channel. He talks a lot about corporate structures and how to best protect yourself with taxes. And yes, fantastic guy.
COLLER?
I think it's KOHLER. Yes, Main
It's the
Street
Main
Business.
Street Business Podcast.
Yeah, and they're a firm that are both CPAs and attorneys all in one firm, so they're very well versed in corporate structure, different entities, different states, all that stuff.
Excellent.
Yes, I would recommend him highly. He's an attorney and a CPA. He's probably better to listen to than I am. But I hope I kind of answered your question and we worked through it.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course, anything else? What else can I help you with?
That was my only question.
Cool.
Hey, Rob, could I ask one quick follow-up on that?
Sure, give me 1 second so I can lower his hand and figure out who it is. Tell me, who is it talking?
Alan, it's Al again.
All right, go ahead, Al.
The square off to the left that you added, what was that representing again?
The square off to the left. My left, this one?
Yes, that one.
Okay, so I also own companies in Oregon. So
Okay.
this whole structure, this part of the structure right here, where there's a state-specific, I call it a state-specific holding company.
Mhm.
This is not necessary, but it's just the way I do it. So I have a state-specific holding company in Texas that I have various companies in because they do different things, right? I have the same thing in Oregon.
Is that for your electrical business or is that,
No,
Something.
it's for assisted living stuff that I had before. I own
Okay.
assisted living homes, and that's in Oregon, and they're each in different LLCs and that sort of thing.
okay. Is your electrical business national or is that Texas based too?
It's Texas and Oregon is where we're licensed.
Okay.
I live in Texas. I don't go back to Oregon. I haven't been back to Oregon in over a year. I have no desire to go back to Oregon. But the thing is, it's got my name all over it,
Okay,
and I don't want to put that into this structure because then I feel like it would ruin anonymity. Could it? I mean, you never know. It might not ever know. I'm not gonna make issues where I'm gonna be sued, Lord willing, but you never know what can happen, and I don't want to risk that whole thing,
right. If you don't mind my adding, because I put something in the in Discord about this last week, but I did hear from another attorney I think he is from Texas, I believe, but he's familiar with the whole Midwest and Western corporate entity business more so than I am. But he did mention that Nevada recently changed their laws, corporate laws, so that you don't have as much anonymity as you used to. Now, whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. He seemed like he knew what he was talking about. So I just wanted to pass that along in case, because I know Wyoming, Nevada, New Mexico, several of those states are all usually equated fairly closely when it comes to the best states in that region. And I think Nevada may have separated itself recently with some legal changes.
Yeah, I think Delaware is another one, and I think there's one more that, have historically been good for the corporate,
Yeah,
anonymity. But let's not forget that we're not trying to be anonymous from the government or the IRS. They know everything you're doing. So let's not pretend like, oh, we're gonna hide this from the government. Like that's not how this works. This
no, I
is
think
so
it's
we're,
more about, yeah, it's more about people we deal with in,
exactly.
yeah,
This is to
not the
prevent
government.
our name being thrown out into the internet and people, tenants or whatever wanting to sue us because they had a bad toilet leak or something.
Exactly.
That's what this is about. It's not about um, hiding money from the IRS or something like that. I mean,
Right.
and that's the reason why a lot of those um, disclosure things were passed into law so that people couldn't hide behind, shell corporations and trusts in order to launder money and that sort of thing. So I hope none of us are laundering money. I would counsel strongly against that. Alan, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Sure.
If you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hands. Go into the bottom, into reactions, hit reactions, and raise hand. I'm happy to answer whatever questions you guys have. Eric, I'm going to come to you in just a second. I have to make some announcements. So we were supposed to have not Gator, sorry, Elephant Challenge this week. It got bumped because Pace was asked to speak at one of Jamil's events. One of Jamil's speakers backed out. Something happened, and Pace stepped in, being a good friend to his friend. So Elephant Challenge got bumped a week, so it will be next week. If you're not in the if you're wanting to join Elephant Challenge, you can still sign up for it. Oh boy, it changed. I forgot what the name of the new login is. Let me see if I can find it. They changed it. If someone has it, you can put it in the bottom. There's no way I'm gonna find it. It used to be pacejmorby.com/invite. I bet you that still works. Let me just put that in the chat. pacejmorby.com/invite. So you'll need to go there to sign up for Elephant Challenge. You can see it in the chat. You will need a software called Privy. That is the only purchase you need to make. I think it's $99, $79, something like that a month. But that's the only thing we're asking you guys to fork money up for. We're not trying to $97. Thank you, Damon. There's no upsell. We're not asking you to buy a course. Elephant Challenge is the course. We're providing it free of charge, but we're using a software in order to make our lives easier, and that's what Privy is. It's start, just a second. It's startwithprivy.com/Laura, and I think promo code PACE might give you a, why is it not letting me? Oh, it's putting a emoji. Promo code PACE. Awesome. Okay. Yes, thank you so much, Mel. We moved to November 2nd, so next week. That's all the stuff we're going over. Pace and Laura. Perfect. Thank you so much. Pace and Laura. Yes, I was right. I didn't space out. Carly says promo code from Pace worked. It brought it down to 77 or so. Awesome. And I see Olya suggesting sushi. I'm open for sushi anytime, Olya. I love sushi. What else was there? I think that is it for now. Gator stuff, I mentioned it earlier. Pace had asked me to do some Gator related Zooms. I have been talking to Miss Carly, who is in charge of the whole elephant gator ecosystem. And I'm waiting to hear back on direction for that so I don't overstep my permitted boundaries. I'll get back to everybody. Please be in the Facebook group. The creative real estate with Pace is where I'm pretty active in there, and I'll see all your messages. I think that's all for announcements for now. Next week we're gonna meet again next Tuesday, and right after that is Elephant Challenge, and hopefully we can continue doing this unless something changes with Pace. If anyone has anything else, feel free to ask, and I'll try to get to it. I promise. Mr. Eric, let me try to pin you. There we go. How are you, sir?
Okay, good. How are you?
I have been on Zooms all day, but I'm happy to be here.
Sorry.
No
Appreciate
worries.
you being here. Back to your little drawing there. I have a follow-up question with David
Yes, sir.
Ritz there. So, are the so I also have the Wyoming holding company. I have 2 Texas LLCs, and my intentions were in the beginning to do a wholesale and then a buy and hold or whatever. But my wife and I are going to start actually a couple other businesses. Are the 3 underneath your Texas LLCs, or are they, because I think we're going to do a DBA. Just use one of my LLCs and do a DBA, but I'm not sure, and I probably should just go watch YouTube, but I wanted to just ask since you already brought this up. So,
Yeah. So holding properties, um, that is taxed different than earned income, right?
yes,
Earned income is taxed differently than passive income. So it would be wise to keep those in 2 separate LLCs.
right. So I have two different LLCs.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take one LLC and make it my active, which will start 2 businesses underneath that. But do I need to get 2 new LLCs underneath that, or can I just do a couple of DBAs underneath that umbrella?
So for sure, you need to have separate bank accounts if you're going to treat them as separate companies.
Mhm, for sure.
And then it's really up to what you and your tax professional decide. I've been using the same tax guy for a few years now. He's very high level, he's very knowledgeable, um, but he just prefers it if I have separate LLCs for different operations.
If-
So it could be that you keep it under one LLC, but you have separate accounts, and you're very good at keeping track of stuff, which is
Mhm,
what you're going to have to do
mhm.
in order to be above board. I am not really good at, I can do it, but it just takes up too much of my time, you know. So you can have a bookkeeper who does all
Yeah,
that for you.
yeah. So I'd have 2 DBAs underneath the one umbrella. Is that, or 2 separate LLCs? That's kind of
If it was me, I'd do 2 separate LLCs. You
okay.
know, if you're gonna do like, what are the businesses? What type of businesses are they?
Roofing business and a Turo.
Yeah, those are very different kinds of businesses, you know. I would.
They're all active. They're both active stuff. So
Yeah, but for
yeah,
example,
they're gonna be separate,
uh,
but
so
uh,
in
yeah,
Turo, are you owning the car?
it'll be financed. But yeah, we're gonna go get one
Okay.
probably this weekend.
But that's a business expense and it's an asset that can be depreciated.
Exactly right. Yes.
I mean, I would put that in a separate LLC. You know, if
I
someone
guess I'm
crashes
not
the car and does something stupid and sues you, you don't want them coming after your roofing business,
right. No, 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 no,
you
no.
know?
But I didn't know if I could do 2 DBAs underneath one LLC.
I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I
Hey,
don't
let
know.
me ask you this, on
I'm
your
sure you
electric
could.
company, if you was able to structure it underneath your new LLC, how would you hold anonymity with that? Wouldn't you want your name being on that too and getting out?
Precisely. So like Kohler, right?
Yeah,
He has like that uh
trifecta.
trifecta thing where the left side is active income and the right side is passive, right? The right side is the side that you want to have anonymity on. The left side is the one that you want to be a public thing where everybody knows your name. I want everybody knowing my name and that I'm an electrician and that I do this, or that I'm a wholesaler and that I do that. And so I wouldn't have it in this structure, which is why I left and still operate the electrical company separate, still operating, but it's a very public facing thing. Bright Star
Right.
Electric, I can tell everybody, my name's Robert, I'm an electrician at Bright Star Electric, do business with us. Because
Okay.
everybody knows that I own that,
Right. But
right?
could that be underneath your Wyoming holding company too?
You could, but I wouldn't. I would have this go straight into my 1040. Because I don't really have, I have business insurance and I have all that stuff. I have some assets in it, right? Business expense, vans and materials and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But there's nothing there that I would be worried about being sued for. I
Okay.
got business insurance. I got good guys, you know.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I need to call PCS and make sure I'm doing, because we're fixing to do this like soon. So.
Yeah. I mean, your roof company, my dad's a roofer. He
Mhm.
he didn't even have an LLC. He just did uh, uh, a DBA, and it was fine. He
Well,
should have done an LLC, but he's really old school, so it's like,
don't-
come on, Dad, really?
yeah.
But
Don't you don't have to do an LLC to have a DBA though? I thought you had to have one
no, you can
first.
be a sole proprietor.
I can just be Eric doing, business as whatever I choose to.
Yeah, you can be
do.
Robert DBA as Solaris Roofing or whatever you want to
Okay.
call it.
Hmm.
You would file as a sole proprietor,
Okay.
but just realize that that's really, really attached to your name. And so
Mhm.
most people would suggest doing an LLC and trying to at least create the beginnings of separation between those two entities so that, I mean, in Texas, we have, uh, I think it's called homestead laws, where even if you're sued, they can't come after your primary residence. They can't put you out of house and home.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of other stuff that can happen, and it's always better to err on the side of caution. And that's how I see all these extra LLCs. Like I'm just erring on the side of caution, abundantly cautious,
Mhm.
so that if something happens, I'm not being sued here for this and this for this, and I don't want anyone knowing about all that stuff, right?
Right.
Especially if I'm buying and holding property somewhere. Yeah, I don't want no one knowing about that stuff. I want it to be
Right. Right.
in the back
Okay.
corner.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you.
How'd it go with those properties we talked
I
about?
they actually don't have an official offer on that one yet. But I was thinking, since they owed $85,000 left on that loan, if they were to sell that one, they could pay that off and then possibly sell or finance the other
You want to know
two.
something interesting? I had three, besides you, I had two others. So three people this week contact me about properties in Kerrville because they live in Kerrville. This is the strangest thing. Like little, to me, it's not that big of a town. It's a little town. Like, wow, a bunch of people in Kerrville.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah. Did you look at the Eagle Lake? What'd you think
I
of that?
looked at it. I looked at it, man. I don't even know where Eagle Lake is.
It's on
It's
the way to Houston,
yeah,
so off of 10, a little bit west or east of 10,
yeah. It's
south or whatever.
it's pretty out there. It's like it reminds me of Oregon when you get up into those like rainforest areas. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Crystal came in.
Yeah.
Crystal and Tori are my peeps.
Thanks,
Um,
sir. Lou.
now I I wanted to talk about that since I see we have time because no one else raised their hands. They're all shy to talk to me.
Okay.
Um, part of Elephant Challenge part of Elephant Challenge in light of Privy, or part of Privy in light of Elephant Challenge, whichever way, um, is that we're using Privy to comp MLS properties. And I say MLS properties because in some areas, as you know, especially parts of Texas, Privy doesn't have MLS properties. So one of the first initial steps, the first initial step beside like, hey, I want to be in real estate, an elephant challenge is let's pick a market. So I would recommend, this is just some guy on the internet, right? This is just Robert. Look at a market where Privy has MLS access. Kerrville is not one of them. San Antonio is not one of them. Is it possible to still get good data? Yeah, of course. Will it be more difficult? Yes. Should you go to Dallas and comp Dallas? Yes, you should. You know, I'm just suggesting to make your life as easy as possible and to have as much data available as possible and to get through that whole, we were talking about like, let's practice and get those reps in so that we can comp much faster. I don't want to spend an hour on a property. And you shouldn't do that either because the goal is the KPI we were talking about, right? An elephant challenge is to try to put out like 5 offers a day. Well, I don't want you spending 5 hours to do that. I don't want you spending an hour on a property and then it turns out, oh, this property is not going to work for me. And then you wasted an hour, right? So I would recommend that you look, I'm trying to be as diplomatic and nice about it as possible. I hope that comes across right.
Well, the thing is, I drive by it every day and I'm just like, and I know one of the guys that owns it. So, and it's like, we've looked at this property before I even thought about any of this, doing
Yeah.
any of it.
No, I totally understand. I'm not faulting you at all for that because I mean, I drive my neighborhood. It's like, oh man, I see all these houses. I want to buy all of them, right? Especially if I can get them turnkey with zero money out of pocket. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But in general, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, if you're wanting to stay in Texas, and you can stomach it, I think Dallas would be a great market to look at. You know, just go to let's practice. Oh man, I'm trying to share my screen and it's Chrome. I want to share Chrome. Okay, so here we are. Here you all are. Let's go to Privy. You guys can all see this? Eric, you can see this? Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So, you know, the basics, right? What we talk about. This is this little Privy coverage globe map. I would pick the blues. You know, just spend your time in the blues. Pick one market, spend your time in the blues, and use that data. I saw a chat. Hold on a second. I have a lot going on my screen. It's Lynn, how do you know? Lynn, please unmute yourself and clarify,
I was
please.
just asking when you said that Privy doesn't go into certain markets and to concentrate on where it does. And so I just asked that at that time. So now I see it's the blue, I guess.
Perfect, exactly. Yeah. So Privy has the coverage map, and there's a key up here. You know, blue is MLS. That's where we have the most accurate data that there can be at that particular time. Now, is it perfect data? No. Especially in states like Texas, where Texas is a non-disclosure state, and so it's not always the most accurate data. Sometimes it's behind. Sometimes it's off by like 500 square feet. Sometimes it's off by a bedroom or two. So don't rely solely on Privy in a market like Texas, but it's a great place to start. Privy is a fantastic software. So that's what I would recommend. If you're in Florida, you're seeing a lot of blue. It's great. If you're in Oregon, first off, I would never do real estate in Oregon. I lived in Oregon. I love Oregon. but I would never buy any properties there. There's just too much. I would never hold rentals in Oregon or California, New York, New Jersey, Washington. It just, and there's lots of reasons where we can talk about that, if someone wants to. But this would be basically step one of Elephant Challenge. We pick a market and we look at Privy, and pretty much if it's blue, it's good to go. It's a market you should be in. Let me do some admits here. Awesome. So that's what I would start with. You know, I get sent leads from people, you know, can you comp this property for me that's, you know, the border of Oklahoma and Texas? Well, I'd be happy to. First of all, there's very, very little property sold out here. Why would you even try to be in this area? You know, we're trying to be in areas where there's lots of data and there's lots of deals being done. There's lots of things being bought and sold. That's what we call the market, where things are being bought and sold. There's not really a market in the panhandle of Oklahoma. There's 43 properties that have sold in the last while. And if we back it out a little bit and look in a market like, you know, Dallas, Fort Worth, we're talking about over 33,000, over 46. I mean, this is a lot of properties, right? So pick a market where there's lots of activity because you're likely to stumble across something that is an opportunity in those markets. If you're living in a fantastically beautiful town in the hill country of Texas as Kerrville, it's beautiful out there, and I would love to live there. It's definitely prettier than San Antonio. But I don't think there's a, what was that?
I said, come on.
Yeah, I love it. I live in Bernie, so I'm not that
Yeah.
far. But that doesn't mean I should be necessarily doing a wholesale business there, right?
Mhm.
And especially if I'm just starting out and I don't really know what it means to have a wholesaling business, all I'm doing is trying to like bird dog properties to find properties that could be potential deals, then start somewhere where there's a lot of stuff happening and where there's blue. My recommendation.
Okay.
Make your life as easy as possible, especially now in these early stages where it's like I'm just looking at properties and I don't know what's a deal yet. Fantastic. Let's start in areas where it makes it easier for someone like me to explain. Like here's what a deal looks like, right? So that's one. Pick a market, preferably one in blue. Second thing, if anyone has any questions about this, I keep forgetting to say that, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to go to the bottom of your screen and zoom and hit reactions and raise hand, and I'll call on you and we can talk. So first step of elephant, pick a market. Second step of elephant is what? Anybody remember? Let's do some interactive stuff. Can I do that?
Find your buyers.
Find buyers. Okay. There's a few ways to find buyers. Number one is Benson sent you buyers. Does everyone have that list? So if you've been in Elephant Challenge for a little while, you should have a list that Benson sent out that has like thousands of buyers on it. And you just search in that list in your particular market and you've got buyers there. But let's say you don't have availability of Benson's list. Oh, hold on. Let's look at the chat so I don't lose anybody. David Britt says Benson has said Privy will have something like 60 MLS additions within the next few months. Yes, I know that I've heard that they're raising funds for that. He's been saying, especially for San Antonio, I live in San Antonio area, and he's been saying that about San Antonio for a while, and it's been a while and nothing yet. But you know, I can't fault them. They're not a big company. They're doing the best they can, and as stuff as finances and markets become available, we're gonna take advantage of that for sure. But for now, because it's not available, I caution people against doing elephant related stuff. Now, we're not talking about like as a wholesaler, what's the best market for me, right? I'm trying to keep it within the confines of what Elephant Challenge is. Elephant Challenge is those first initial steps, learning how to what a wholesale operation looks like, right? So in in this particular elephant framework, that initial small bite-sized step thing, um, avoid those markets where it's going to make it harder on you. Um, my friend Carly is here. Hi, Carly. Haha, this is the first time I've seen someone with more tabs open than I usually have. Yes, this is how my brain thinks. I'm all over the place and I got everything going crazy. And it feels like I'm managing chaos. And that's just how my life is right now. Eric, I just signed up for a challenge earlier this week. I don't think I have the buyers list. For sure. Yeah, he usually sends it out with the onboarding emails, and it'll come eventually with all that elephant stuff. And if you don't get it, just if you're looking at my screen, there's this little blue thing here. Actually, it's Benson's on right now, so you can just type in, you know, Benson. Benson, you're awesome. Thanks for all you do for us at Team Pace Elephants. That's it. Tell him, hey, Benson, I need that buyer's list. Can you please send it to me? And he'll email it to you. Freddie, I don't remember receiving buyer's list at any time. Really? I will look into that. If that's an issue, I can look into it. Maybe it's changed, and I apologize if it's changed. But I'd be happy to look into that buyer's
I
list.
think, can I chime in on that?
Yeah,
Because when
yeah,
I
go ahead.
signed up was like a month and a half ago, and I think he was running a special where I got grandfathered in, and there was a couple of bonuses with the buyers lists.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. So every month is a special, in case you haven't realized that. It's like a, scarcity sales thing. So every month he runs a special where it's like, oh, you need to sign up by this month. And then he has a whole bunch of things. I do recall that what you're saying. But I will check into this and make sure. I'll have to talk to Carly and see if that's still something. Eric, do I have to wait till challenge starts or can I start on things now? No, if you're here, you've already started on things, which is awesome. This is where we're all trying to learn and grow together, and you're more than welcome to come in. Pace will be doing, Pace and Laura and Benson will be doing Elephant Challenge training next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I think Sunday too. They're doing an extra Zoom. And then I'll be here every Tuesday for the foreseeable future, unless Pace decides to, like I was saying earlier, there's some Gator Zooms that he's wanting me to lead that I'm still waiting to hear back on details of that and what that's going to look like. So the reason I'm saying that is because they've also talked about hiring a community manager for Discord, because for the Gator Discord, the Gator community, a community manager for the Gator community, because Gator community is a lot like what it sounds like. If you imagine a lake full of gators all chomping at each other, if a raw piece of meat falls in there, it's a frenzy, and that's literally what Gator is like. So they kind of need a zookeeper, and hopefully that gets figured out because it's awfully crazy in there. But they're doing the best they can. It's still a very new product, the whole Gator world. But no, Eric, you're right where you need to be, and I'm glad you're here, and you're more than welcome to come hang out every Tuesday with us, as we're all learning and getting better and doing the best we can. Um, Jason, yeah, Gator's crazy, man. Like, if someone puts something in the Gator, like, hey, I have a deal, like, I already know within 10 seconds there's going to be 20 people all over that, and it's probably not a deal, and you just have to roll with the punches. Are there any questions? You want to comp something in Dallas? Sure, let's comp something in Dallas. In fact, what I'll do is I was sent a property to look at today. Let me double check on the address just so I make sure that I'm talking correctly. From Michelle. Let me see if she'll come in. Is Michelle here? Michelle Enriquez? If you're here, say hi. Okay, so the property address is, this is Michelle. She sent me this property today to look at. We're gonna decide, this is currently, we're gonna use correct verbiage. This is a lead. This is not a deal yet. We haven't decided if it's a deal yet. It's a lead. It's a property we're looking at. Um, let's take 2 steps back. Please send me all the things that you think are deals. If it's just the lead and you haven't comped it at all and you haven't underwritten it, then I'm probably going to send you back to do all that, because I have a lot on my plate beside my businesses and my family and everything. I'm happy to help you. If you have like no clue how to comp and how to underwrite, I'm happy to help you. I'm probably going to refer you back to these videos. All this is recorded. It's on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is just straight for elephant right now, but I'm happy to do that. But it would make my life better. I'm trying not to be selfish about it, but I would appreciate it to send me things that you think you believe they're deals, and I'm happy to go over your numbers and talk about them for you. Okay, let me go into the chat. Hey Jackson, nice to meet you, man. Thanks for being here. Carly, in general, do you ever mess with auctions? I personally don't. I've heard it's not worth it once a foreclosure makes it to that point. Yeah, you have to have cash, and you have to. That's also a big gator pit. Like, there's people bidding each other, and it's pretty cutthroat, and you have to have cash. But it'd be interesting to see once as the economy changes and the market changes, if there's going to be such a frenzy there. But yeah, definitely something to keep your eye on. If you're talking about foreclosure specific stuff, um, there is Alex Sanders, who is a buddy of mine out of San Antonio, who is a realtor, does a lot of this sort of stuff with foreclosures and all that stuff. And he has figured out a method how to reach those sellers, those property owners, before it actually hits foreclosure. So he gets at them before they even go to foreclosure, before they're served papers and all that. So there's ways to do foreclosures that can be very profitable, but you have to be on it. You have to be quick. You have to be a little bit uh like hard and fast, because a lot of those people, when they're in foreclosure, they always talk about, like, can I continue living in the property after I sell it to you? And the answer is always no. Because if you haven't been able to pay your mortgage, how are you going to pay rent? Because your rent's going to be even more than what your mortgage was. And so, it could be very not a, you know, daisy comfortable conversation. Uh, there are interesting properties popping up via that medium in my area. Just yeah, for sure. Foreclosures are definitely the way. Hey, Carly.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for that. Yeah, I don't want to take away from, what we're doing right now, but it just made me think because in Maryland where I am, it's actually illegal to market to people in pre-foreclosure and stuff like that. So I was just trying to think about creative ways to kind of get in on that. And certain areas are just kind of really booming right now, but a lot of them are auctions and it's interesting, but I just don't have enough experience to just sort of go for it. So I was just curious what you thought. So I appreciate that.
Another thing while you were talking that popped in my head because you reminded me was you might not be able to market them, but you can go and knock on their door.
That's
Door
true.
knocking is a very good way to get cheap, you're spending very little on that lead. Just knock on a door and have a conversation.
Yeah,
Don't do
well,
it don't do it by yourself, Carly. Take someone with you.
I was gonna say I'm in Baltimore City, so if I don't see you on the Gator chat, that's what happened. But yeah, I'll always bring a responsible buddy. It's good advice.
Oh, okay, now that but we've said that, right? But okay, you know who Alexis Morgan is?
No,
Okay. Uh, where can I find Alexis? Um, Alexis Morgan is a sub 2 student. Okay, let's see. Members. There's Alex Sanders, who I was just talking about, who's the realtor in my area who does a lot of foreclosure stuff. Alexis Morgan is this killer young girl who makes most of her deals by door knocking.
awesome.
Amazing. She is killing it. Killing it. And she does door knocking. And not only does she do door knocking, but now she's got teams door knocking for her. This girl's still in high school.
Wow.
She is killing it. Door knocking works, but Alexis is the type of girl where she can strike up a conversation and she's this is her all the time. She's happy, she's positive, she's amazing, right? She's like half my age, but it's still like that's pretty cool, girl. That's pretty cool. I wish I can do that. I can't. It's just not who I am, right? But
Yeah, it makes me want to check myself now as to what I've achieved. She's already
kill
doing
it.
that's awesome. So thanks for that.
Kill it for sure. Um, Champagne, where do we send leads? So on my screen you should see my social handles. I prefer Facebook Messenger. You can Facebook Messenger me there. If you're in Discord, it's the same handle. You can find me on Discord with that same handle, and you can DM me, and I will be happy to look at preferably things that you've comped and underwritten, and we can talk about how to do that. I'll be glad to show you how to comp and underwrite. And in the future weeks, we will keep doing that. We've been doing it. If you don't want to wait for future weeks and you want to see how I do it, particularly how Robert does it, you can go check out my YouTube channel. I'm not the best, but I have my own way to do it that I think is pretty healthy. I come out of a construction background and I do remodeling and stuff like that, and I just look at things a little bit um, from that perspective. So if that's helpful, yeah, for sure. DM me leads and stuff you've worked on, and I'm happy to help you out. I'll do my best. I have a lot going on, and sometimes it takes me like a day to get back to you. But I promise I'll do my best. Jason, this is how you get better at underwriting. You come into my Zooms and I show you how to do it. All right. What's the difference between a prospect and a lead? When does a prospect become a lead? So if you hear about someone who wants to sell their house or you have something like that, all that stuff is what I call a lead. I look at properties as leads, right? And once I've comped them, so comp is where you take and you compare them to other properties, both what what state they're currently in and what state they could potentially be repaired, rehabbed to. That kind of gives you a determination of what valuation is. If you believe that the property you're looking at is valued accurately and fairly and it's worthwhile, then what you do is underwrite it. And underwriting is what you do to determine if this lead is actually a potential deal. So we can talk about what that means. Like, for example, on my screen, I have this property, 4020 Lisbon Street. This property is listed at $169,900. This is a lead. Now, is this lead a deal? Is this property worth $170,000? What are other properties in this area worth that are in this same condition? What are other properties in this area valued at if they're rehabbed? To what level are they rehabbed? All that stuff is what we're going to determine. It's going to take us an hour, 2 hours maybe. Probably not today, it's already 8 o'clock. But it's taken us 2 or 3 weeks sometimes to talk about a property and how to underwrite it. The goal with Elephant Challenge is to get you to do that a lot of times. You put in those reps so that you can get to a point where you can look at a property and within 5 to 10 minutes, let's say it takes you 20 minutes, half an hour, to determine, yes, this lead, this is how much the comp is, this is what the comps are at, this is how much I believe it's worth, this is why I believe it's a deal because of this and this and this and this. Okay, it's going to take us some time to explain it, to walk through it. A lot of things is going to be foreign. Please ask questions. Feel free, please, to interrupt me and be like, hey, Robert, you said something there. I don't know what that means. Please interrupt me. I'm happy to stop and talk to you about it. But this is this is in the process of wholesaling, right? There's lots of steps. How do we get leads? How do we get buyers? How do we contact these people? How do we determine if a property is a deal? All these little things have to be done, right? And at some point, you got to also determine, like, what do I like doing and what do I not like doing, right? Maybe you're fantastic at finding properties and running the numbers and determining this is a deal, but then you don't know what to do. And you're afraid to call an agent and talk to them on the phone. You're afraid to talk to people on the phone. No problem. We can talk about that. We can help you with that. I'm here to help you with all of these steps, right? And after you call the agent and you talk to them about the property and you say, hey, I'd like to submit an offer, you submit an offer. And maybe you have no clue what that looks like. You've never submitted an offer on a property before. Awesome. I'm here to help. All the other Sub2 students that are in the team are here to help. We have amazing people, like I mentioned earlier, Tori and Crystal, who can also help their agents, and they can help you submit offers to other agents. And what happens if the offer you submit is counteroffered? What do you do? If you've never dealt with that situation before, it could be intimidating. And we'll help you with that too. We'll talk about, like, here's how to submit a counteroffer. Here's how to adjust those terms and make them fit so that the goal is to make it a win-win for all parties involved, right? We're not trying to scam anybody. We're not trying to steal anything. We're not trying to one-up people. My philosophy is, like, if we can all win, that's my preferred way to do things, right? What happens if you submit an offer and it gets accepted? And now you have to deposit $10,000 of EMD, earnest money, in order to get that contract started, to open escrow and all that stuff. What do? What if you don't have $5,000 or $10,000? No problem. Robert's here. I have a team of Gators who are happy to help you, to partner with you, to walk through that process. Right? And what happened? I don't know how to close. I don't know how to do all that paperwork. We have the whole point of Elephant Challenge is we're trying to have new people come in who have never done any real estate investing before, learn those little steps along the way in the process of what a wholesale business looks like. And we're partnering them up with people who are in the Sub2 community who have experience in specific parts of those, right? Each one of those steps has a specific kind of person who likes to do that sort of stuff. And we're bringing those people in to tag team with you so that the goal is to make deals, right? We're trying to get deals done, we're trying to make money. So that's basically like a high level overview of what Elephant is. Um, we will definitely get to this property. I like answering questions right now in chat because no one wants to pull a hand up and talk to me. So we're just gonna read the chat. Admit. Al. Yes, sir. What's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up. I love that explanation of what the whole process and the point of this, even this Zoom itself is. But you mentioned Tori and Carly, and I saw someone from Texas just chimed in. I just wanted to clarify, I like the way everything's a lead, but I understand realtors sometimes look at prospects and leads a little bit differently, and without confusing or clouding the clear explanation you just gave, can they chime in and just let us know if we're missing anything? Just so we're talking the same language when we're talking to an agent, so the agent and an investor are communicating the right way?
Yeah, well, most agents, when they're prospecting or talking about prospects, what they're doing is calling up sellers directly to see if there's interest in selling.
Just random homeowners
Typically,
or targeted homeowners?
right. Uh, the elephant model is not direct to seller. We're not calling sellers.
Right.
The elephant model is not creative finance. We're not targeting properties that can be taken over subject to or seller financing or any of that stuff. That's not what elephant is about. Because that's a layer of complexity that would be a little bit too far beyond the baby steps, the elephant bites we're taking.
Okay, I think I see where you're going. So the mere fact that it's already a listing means it's gone beyond prospect. It's now a definite lead.
Exactly. These are
Okay?
on market properties. In other words, prospects have raised their hand and said, I want to sell. Can someone help me? The agent has said, yes, I'll take it and I'll put it on the marketplace. We're past that prospecting step.
Okay, so then the comping and then the underwriting, that's to determine whether it's an opportunity or a deal.
Exactly. So someone sends me a property like this one. Someone sends me 4020 Lisbon Street. This is a lead. You know, it's been put on market recently. Let's take a look and see if we can make from a wholesaler standpoint, can we make this be a deal for us? Now, it could be very different if we're talking about like a creative finance play. From a creative finance play, can we make this be a deal? That's a very different discussion than from a wholesaling standpoint, can we make this be a deal?
Okay,
Okay, so in Elephant, we're trying to focus the lens a little bit and eliminate distractions because when you introduce complexities, wholesaling, cash buying, creative financing, buy and hold, fix and flipping, there's too many complexities and people get too wide-eyed and it causes inaction. And so the whole goal of Elephant Challenge is let's zoom it in. Let's take this simple, clean way to wholesale, which is cash offers of on-market properties, which is what Elephant is, and get people making at least a few deals so that they can see that the whole real estate, I mean, I'm sure you've heard this before, all real estate doesn't work, or no, it's proof of concept, if you will. We're trying to get people to make their first deal or two so that it's proof of concept for them and that they have buy-in into the methodology and the framework, because we have some mindset work to do too, right? It's not like I'm just all of a sudden going to become positive mindset if I've been dealing with negativity and depression my whole life, right?
right.
Same thing in real estate. Like, I don't know if this is going to work. I mean, my first Gator deal, I was like, man, I don't know if this is going to work or not. But now that I've done a few, it's like, oh, this is no big deal. That frame of mind has changed. And so we're trying to kind of um, get people to buy into the wholesaling real estate thing by having a very simple, narrow lens of the type of business model we're trying to achieve.
Okay, that's great. That makes perfect sense. And when you're just across the street a little to the Gator side, do you employ the same methodology with the underwriting and the comping when you're trying to determine whether to lend on a property? Not lend, I know it's not lending. When you are trying to determine whether to get involved as a Gator on that property?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's similar or the same?
Yeah, I like to underwrite all the properties that I look at.
Mhm.
Um, to the best I can. And you weren't Carly. I talked to Carly about it, right? In our first little Gator accountability meeting on Monday. My natural tendency is to be conservative, to err on the side of caution in my deals. And so I prefer to underwrite, to double check and triple check. I want to be confident, that my deals are not going to fall apart and not, get wool pulled over my eyes and do something stupid. So I would rather not do a deal as opposed to go all in, and whatever happens, happens. I'm not like that. I'd
Right.
prefer to be wise and take my time and make sure something's good.
Not rely on somebody else's comps only, right?
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
thank you.
Yes, sir. Jin, yes, this is recorded. It will be put up in my YouTube channel by the end of the week. So help me God. Jackson, find a Gator lender. Hello, right here. That's me. Tori. Hi, Tori. Tori is a Texas realtor. She's investor friendly. I love Tori and Crystal. They're awesome. Let's see. Yes, get reps. Sarah Larson's a Gator. Awesome. Awesome for you to be in here. Jackson. Dude, I did some deadlifting today. I'm sleepy now. Talk to me, Jackson. How are you, man? Unmute yourself. Let's see.
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing pretty good.
Awesome,
What's up?
man. Happy to join on one of these live. It's pretty sweet.
Thanks, man.
Well, I was just going to kind of ask about the elephant challenge and kind of the process.
Mhm.
Kind of new to the system and the group. Not sure if I should try to get ahead of anything. I feel like I already have some of the knowledge you're talking about. Like I've practiced underwriting already. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm confident enough to try to start a business without taking elephant steps, but I don't know, is there like are we going to fall into a path kind of as we progress along the elephant challenge that's maybe along to our speed? Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah.
Or yeah.
Yeah. So here's what I recommend. Like I mentioned before, right? We're showing you a broad stroke paintbrush of all these little portions of what a wholesale operation looks like, right? It's very hard to start a business that does all of those things as a Lone Ranger. Because there's lots of different personalities that fit better into those little areas, right? If you're not a numbers person and you don't feel comfortable with comps and underwriting, maybe you shouldn't be comping and underwriting. Is that fair? If you prefer to
Yeah.
be on the phone and you love talking to people and you can pick up conversations with people in the grocery store and waiting in line, but you're not a numbers person, then you shouldn't be a numbers person. You should learn about that stuff, And that's what Elephant Challenge is. Like, let's show you what this looks like to find a lead, to comp that lead, to underwrite that lead to determine if it's a potential deal. But that doesn't mean you should try to start a business where you're doing that whole thing. Now, you could be a very well-rounded individual and you could do all those things. And if that's awesome, if that's what you want to do, awesome. But the sub 2 community and PACE particularly is all about squatting up, right? We're all about let's team up. Let's I have strengths, you have strengths. Let's figure out how we can work together to, 1 + 1 equals more than just 2, right? So Elephant is the broad paintbrush. We're going to show you all these things. In places like my Zoom, we're going to talk about these little things in dedicated pockets so that you can see like, hey, maybe I fit in this area better. And I would like to squat up with someone. And this is a fantastic place to do that. If you're interested, like, hey, I just want to be a bird dog and find properties for Robert, awesome. I can point you in the right direction for that. All I want to do is find properties and comp them and underwrite them. I'm happy to have you send those to me. I have a team of people that I work with that I'm happy to plug you into. But this is what I'm when you were asking about like what's next.
Yeah.
Next is it would be wise, I think, to join a team and get plugged in to JV, to let other people who are better at other things help you through your weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
Find your
Awesome.
avatar. Exactly. Like Carly said, we're talking about avatars here. Am I a bird dog? Am I a helper? Am I a gator? Am I a unicorn agent? We have in this Zoom right now, you have sub 2 students who know the ins and outs of all this stuff that we're talking about. You have gator lenders who I like to call the lubrication and all the gears. They make the whole process run smoother with funding. You have unicorn agents like Tori, for example, who understand creative finance and can submit offers for you and can talk to agents directly if you're having issues with that. We've got numbers people, numbers avatars, right? All those things are here for you to help people who are in Elephant Challenge with all these various steps. And as we progress in the weeks following Pace's training, he does it once a month, is the hope that you kind of figure out, here's what I'm good at, here's what I like to do, maybe I can go insert myself into a team. And that's the hope.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess then, if I could ask another question, how would I go about joining a team? I'm in the Discord. Is that like the regional or?
What do you like doing? How much of it have you done?
Ooh.
How much of Elephant have you done? Do you know, like, I like this and I don't like this?
Yeah, I definitely think I like comping properties in kind of more strategic view.
Okay.
And then maybe like closing more so than cold calling or door knocking. I don't mind that so much.
So when you say closing, you mean like calling an agent and submitting offers, that type of thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What market were you thinking of working?
I was thinking Texas actually. So I'm excited to see you underwrite this Lisbon Street property. I'm based out of Utah right now, but Utah's not, I don't know, it isn't investor friendly. So
Okay, so you probably are looking at DFW,
what's that?
the Dallas Fort Worth
Dallas
area.
Fort Worth. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, I've been doing this for a little while, but even I have a team that I work with. Like, I'm not the best at certain things, and I certain things, honestly, I just don't like doing. And so it's better to be on a team. Um, I'm not looking to be the king of any hill. Like, I work better as a team, on a team. That's just the kind of person. I played soccer. I like football. Like, I don't do like one person sports. It's just not who I am, you know? I'm a team player. Like, so I also do, I'm the men's pastor at my church, and I have a team. Like, Robert doesn't need to be the one on stage and doing stuff all the time. Like, I have a team and I delegate a lot of responsibility to the team. Same thing here. I was telling Carly
Nice.
yesterday, you know, people bring, some people can bring this to the table, some people bring that to the table. I see myself as like, I bring the table. I'm the place where I can make everything happen. You know, I like to involve everybody. Everybody gets a spot at my table until they lose that spot, right? I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to eat. I want us all to make millions and millions of dollars if it's possible, right?
Yeah, for sure. I love that.
Awesome. Um, yes, Carly's a gator. Freddie asked about private money. Private money is a little bit different than what we're doing or using or facilitating in Elephant and through Gators. Um, we can definitely talk about that, but that would super sidetrack the conversation. How about we put that off for next time? Is that okay? Crystal, appreciate Rob and fellow Gators for funding mine and Tori's last deal within 48 hours. They made it happen. Yes, awesome. I'm waiting for Crystal and Tori to send me more. I finally got my check from it. Jeez, that we did a Gator deal, and the title company decided that they didn't want to wire um, the funds to people, so they mailed them all. And of course, I went to my registered agent, which is in Houston, which is like whatever. So I finally got it today. Jackson, I'm sorry, man. Did I answer all your questions? Was there anything else? What else can I help you with?
No, yeah, that's perfect. Sorry, I should lower my hand, huh?
No, no problem. No problem. Okay, so now that we're finally looking at this property, we got I'm happy to stay until 9 o'clock, and if it goes later, then no problem. Um, is this lead a potential deal? Give me 1 second so I can scoot all these little, I have a bunch of little Zoom host windows that I'm trying to clear off of my screen so I can still see you guys and still have access to the chat and still see my page. So this is Privy. As we all know, Privy has MLS access in the DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area. This is in Fort Worth. Whenever I pull up a property, I don't rush to the bottom like some people do. I want to make sure I am understanding what the let me back up. I like to build in my head a story of what's going on with this property. That's how I like to think about it. What's the story of this property? What's the situation? How can I insert myself into this potential lead as a deal? So I'm just gonna talk out loud while I do it, and if there's any questions, please raise your hands. Go into the bottom of Zoom there, hit reactions, raise your hands, and feel free to stop me or just unmute yourself and ask a question. I'm happy to explain what I'm doing. So this property is about 170,000. I'm not sure if that's good or bad yet. What I do see is this little blue Privy Preferred, which lets me know that Privy's algorithm has evaluated this property against other properties in the area that are either on market or have sold, and has told me that this is looking like it's a potentially good deal. I don't know yet, but we're going to verify that. This blue box here tells me that we're getting MLS level data. this is the best kind of data to get. A lot of other software has third-party data, which is publicly available. That is good, but direct MLS access data is better, generally. Is it going to be perfect? No, especially considering Texas is a non-disclosure state. Just that's in our mind, so we're not going to rely on Privy solely because of that. Now, this is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. Robert doesn't like 2-bedroom, 1-baths. I don't understand it. Maybe it would have been cool, like when I was first married. A 2-bed, 1-bath would have been awesome. But now that Robert has a wife and 3 kids, and I have 1 daughter and 2 sons, there is no way in the world I can make my daughter sleep with my sons in the same room. They would kill each other. So Robert needs 3 beds for sure. And I have sharing a bathroom with my wife is hard enough, let alone trying to share it with 3 kids. So I for sure need a second bath. So the minimum that I look at and that most families I think look at is a 3-2. So for me, this is not within my personal buy box. What is a buy box? Maybe that's a new word. A buy box is like a set of criteria that helps you focus on what you're looking for. Now, this is critical because it's important for us to know what a buy box is and what our buyer's buy box is. For example, if you know Robert doesn't buy 2 1s, don't bring Robert 2 1s. I look at minimum 3-bed, 2-bath. I like to look at, and we can talk about this. I think we talked about this before, but I'm happy to talk about it again. I think it's absolutely important for us. I like to buy in the median of my market. So, you know what? I have this pulled up somewhere. Let me see where I have it pulled up. Give me 1 second. I have this data pulled up already somewhere so that I don't have to do it multiple times. Here we go. Copy, link. All right, here we go. So you can go into, oh man, that's not what I wanted. Sorry, give me 1 more second. Let me get this. You can go into fantastic Google and you can type in Dallas Fort Worth real estate statistics. And you'll find all sorts of information about what's going on in your local market. You can do this in any market you're in. You should do this in the market that you're looking to work in. And you type it in and you see things like this, for example. Would it be wise of me if I was trying to get my first, second, third deal for me to look at houses that are selling below 100, 200,000? I would say no, because this is below median. What's the median in Dallas Fort Worth? So here's housing update. Median price is between 350 and 400. Rose from 350 to 400. So let's say it's 400, just for simplicity's sake. Median in my market is 400. I'll go down to so median ARV, after repaired value, a property that is in good shape, livable, able to be sold to an end buyer, not to a fix and flipper, not to a wholesaler, not to that type of thing, to an end buyer. That's what ARV sale price is the way I look at it. So I'm not going to look at properties that have an ARV of 200,000. I build my buy box around a median plus or minus a little bit. I'm not going to look at properties that are over, well, let's see. So like over 600,000, 700, once you get to 750, you can see just from this picture how much that market drops in terms of volume. I'm not going to be above that, and I'm not going to be below 250. So my buy box is minimum 3-bed, 2 baths in the DFW area between 250 and let's call it 550. Fair? Is that fair to say? We can see here 590 in that ballpark, right? Somewhere in there. You can see closed sales, you know, once you get to like the 829 median, it drops significantly. So I'm going to stay, like I said, look, 2000, 1600, 1700. I'm going to stay in this general area when I'm looking for my ARVs. Now, does that mean I'm buying the property in this if I'm wholesaling it? No. That means that after the property is rehabbed and ready to be market ready, it's been rehabbed, it's ready to go to an end buyer, this is the end pricing general area of where Robert wants to be. Okay? I hope that's helpful. So don't be looking at $1 million properties. I'm not interested in that. Don't be looking at 2-bedroom, 1-bath shacks. I'm not looking at that. If it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and you're like, hey, I'm getting this like at 25 cents on the dollar, and you can spend that extra money to add an extra bedroom and a bathroom, maybe. But we have to be super sure about our numbers in that situation because that's a much bigger investment in terms of rehab costs in order to build and to expand to do an addition that's an extra bedroom and a bathroom. I hope you understand it's much more of a cost than just painting and putting carpets in to add an extra bathroom, you know. That's a big deal, especially in a place like Texas where our foundations are slab. You know, we're going to have to be cutting slab and jackhammering and doing all that just to put in an extra bathroom. So it's a much bigger expense. And we can talk about those expenses and kind of some rough estimates of what those expenses are for the various types of rehab. So when I'm building my buy box, that's what I like to start with. Median plus or minus a little bit. And I'm looking at minimum 3-bed, 2-bath. Not the top of the market, $1 million, and not the bottom of the market where it's lower. Okay? Is that fair? Everybody kind of tracking with me? I hope that was helpful. So this property for sure is probably not in my buy box because it's a 2-1. But for example's sake, we'll continue looking at it, right? So next thing after I look at all these things here, 2-bed, 1-bath, 776, built into 40s, which is a fantastic time. 6,000. It's a little bit of a smaller lot, but that's not, and I can see that from the picture because the houses are a little bit close, but you know, no problem. Definitely needs a little bit of work. Definitely needs work. Okay. Robert does not like. Well, I'm not sure why I keep talking to myself in the third person, but I've been starting it, so I'm just gonna roll with it. Okay. I don't like multiple floorings. It drives me crazy. It's just a pet peeve of mine. So that's for sure going to need to be fixed. Clearly, ceilings need to be repaired. All this wood on the wall needs to be torn down. So there's some rehab costs here. Definitely that front door probably needs to be replaced. These look to me like they're aluminum pane windows. Can I go back one? I think they're aluminum pane windows. So probably need new windows if that's the standard in the in that neighborhood, you know, for rehabs to have you know, new windows as opposed to the old aluminum one. These are single pane windows, looks like to me. So you might have to change that. Windows are a big significant cost. And I guarantee you, because I've almost never had a situation where off the shelf Home Depot windows fit into old houses. So that could be a significant not only cost issue, but also time issue if you're having to wait on windows to show up in order to finish things like walls and exterior siding and that sort of stuff. It's something to consider. The other thing I see when I'm looking at this house is that I'm 100% sure I'm going to be spending money on HVAC. There's a window unit here. That means there's no central heating or cooling, or it's broken. And I'm looking at a significant cost there also to repair it or to install a new one. Okay. Yeah, lots of cosmetic drywall stuff. Carly, especially if windows are on home. Oh man, if you're in a historic area, yeah, realtors now will call me when I talk to them. Will you take on a historical project? Because they already know like this is not a normal project. So if you're in a historical area, and you're starting an elephant challenge, just move on. Don't bother with it. So yes, for sure, walls all need to be touched. Ceiling needs to be touched. The floor is it particle board or what's going on with this floor? I can't tell. Can I zoom in on this? Yes. I mean, that looks like particle board to me, but these cabinets definitely, I mean, that door is not even straight. Look at that. So probably needs to be repaired and touched up with paint for sure. This kitchen all needs to be completely redone. I mean, so that, let me ask you guys, put it in the chat. Is this a cosmetic lipstick repair? Would you be comfortable with these walls, with your kids running around in these walls? Heck no. Like, my wife would give me stink eye like before we even got out of the car. These are absolutely aluminum single pane windows, so those need to be replaced. Just lovely woodwork. Oh, did I skip one? Yeah, fantastically delicious woodwork. Oh, lovely. So, clearly the whole bathroom needs to be completely redone. All this stuff needs to be scraped off the walls. All this tile has to go. We might be able to salvage the tub and toilet. I mean, this is not cosmetic at all. For sure, we're gonna need exterior work done. For sure. I mean, knowing my boys, they're gonna try to climb on these power lines. So I would need to bury these in my house. I mean, look how low that's hanging. It's hanging lower than the door. I would probably hit my head on that. This shed. So yard work, we got a budget for yard work for sure. The roof from this picture doesn't look terrible. My dad and Eric in here is a roofer. This doesn't look bad. What are we looking at here? Another picture in the back. Well, maybe the roof, I can see some ridges that are kind of weird, but it would need to be inspected by a roofer for sure. This is the backyard amenities, clearly included in the sale price. Yeah, like this. Okay, hold on a second. So this is right off the freeway. Not right off the freeway, but it's we could frame this in a positive way. Quick freeway access. You know, as opposed to it's going to keep you up at night. Again, more included amenities. Okay, there we go. So we're getting a good idea. Now, let's take we talked about this earlier about the prices that we're going to use, and I'm going to give you Pace's elephant. Let's see. 15 steps to comping. But I'm just gonna talk about numbers right now. So here's these. Copy. Where did you all go? Here you go. Here is in the chat. Okay. This is rough numbers that we're looking at here. Okay. Is this property need, is lipstick going to be enough for this property? No, probably not. Will basic reno be good? I think basic reno is what we're talking about here. I don't think we're talking about a gut job. I don't think we have to, well, I mean, maybe gut job because we're having to take apart kitchen and the kitchen, obviously the high ticket items are, I would say yes, this is a gut job because the kitchen's a high price tag thing that needs to be repaired. The bathroom is a high price tag thing that needs to be repaired. We already know that there are HVAC issues, which is another costly repair, and we know that windows need to be replaced. Those are all pretty costly things. Way more significant than just paint and carpet, right? So I would be comfortable with saying this is definitely a gut job, and we should budget $60 per square foot. So in order to get our rehab costs, like you're seeing here in your chat, we take $60 times whatever the square footage is of our property. Just a second, because Michelle is texted me back. She's the one I'm comping this for. Okay, so did someone put that in the chat, the number? Okay, I'll pull out my calculator. $60 times, how much square foot was this? 776. Okay, so our rehab cost is going to be about 46,500. Okay. 46,500. And remember, this has taken us a long time because we're taking our time, but eventually my hope is that we're all doing this in under 30 minutes easy. Excuse me for a second. Sorry about that. Okay. I'm going to give you, there's obviously many different ways to comp and underwrite properties. I'm going to give you just one example. When we're determining one buzzword you'll hear is MAO, maximum allowable offer. What is our maximum allowable offer? There's different ways to get to that number, so this is the number that we're going to get to is what we're going to offer on the property. There's several ways to get to that number. One way that's pretty common in wholesaling is this. I'm going to put that in the chat. Let me write it in minus. Okay, so if you see it there in the chat, MAO equals ARV. So we're going to talk about what our ARV is going to be times 70%. Why am I subtracting 30% off the top? 30% is going to be all of our costs, our realtor costs, our seller's agent, our buyer's agent, title company, all those various costs are factored in there. Carly, you're not seeing it? Is no one seeing what I'm putting in there? Let me do it one more time. I apologize, everybody. Let's see. How's that? Is that better? Can everyone see that one? Yes, no, maybe so. Perfect. Okay. I don't know what happened. I must have done something incorrect, and but I'm glad you can all see it now. So yeah, there's the Reno numbers, and underneath that, they got tagged into the same message for some reason. But MAO equals ARV times 70% minus rehab costs minus assignments. Okay. Yes, this is part of PACE's 15 steps. Um, it, in I'm doing just a basic overview of comping and underwriting. For a full explanation, I'm happy to do that, next time and going forward in the future. And also, I believe Laura Morby will go over a full picture of what comping and underwriting looks like in Elephant Challenge. Emmanuel, what's up, man?
Hey Rob, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic.
Awesome. Quick question. I had I found a buyer this weekend. He gave me his buy box,
Uh-huh.
and I wanted to give your perspective if it's enough information and give me a couple ideas. I did a little research. I couldn't find much.
Okay.
So I found this guy. He sold a property 6 months ago for $349. Very nice property. So I called him. I found him, and I asked him. He said yes, and he was interested for me to find him properties. And he said we were texting, we couldn't communicate over the phone, but he sent me his buy box by text. And he said, I prefer stuff in the Kyle and Buda area,
Okay.
around 200,000 or lower. Smaller homes are okay.
Okay.
Is that usually enough information for me to be able to find something? I couldn't find much in those areas. So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean the Kyle and Buda areas are smaller towns. They're up and coming for sure. So they're south of Austin, and that area is being actively developed. That whole stretch on I-35 between San Antonio and Austin is slowly being filled in by both San Antonio and Austin, because I've heard that they're eventually going to make it like a big one statistical metroplex area akin to Dallas Fort Worth.
Interesting.
So having said that, they're up and coming, and there's not going to be a lot of larger neighborhoods that have these older tract homes that are in the 2-bed 1-bath type, if that's what he's saying. There will be some for sure, but not as much as there are, for example, in inner city San Antonio or in inner city Austin, inner city Dallas, where there's a lot of 2-bed 1-bath, 3-bed 1-bath at lower price points, such as the one we're looking at. So it is enough data. It just means that you're gonna need to hunt a little bit more.
Mhm.
And if it was me, I would be okay with bringing him stuff that's in South Austin for sure.
South Austin, around their area.
Yeah,
And
I
he
mean,
said prefer newer stuff, but we're looking at usually fixer uppers. Do you think that he mean newer stuff year wise, right? Probably.
yeah. So, I mean, maybe what he's talking about is um, there are parts of South Austin where they're building these smaller homes that are um, definitely newer. Um, yeah, I've seen those for sure. So the thing is, what was the price tag that he was talking about?
He said around 200K or lower.
Yeah, that's totally doable there. You know, I've seen houses, I see those big neighborhood billboards like this development starting in the 100,000s because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, halfway between Austin and San Antonio, where you have to drive either into Austin or San Antonio together. So is there enough information there? Yeah. You just have to start hunting and figuring out where those areas are.
And I just want to make sure I'm doing the research correct. When I went to Pretty, I went single family active, and I pressed the fix and flips right button.
Hmm.
And then I believe I did 6 months,
Mhm.
no HOA, and I put the ranges 0 to 200.
That's
Is
why
that
you
how you
didn't
do?
find anything. You didn't find anything because you did no HOA. In Texas, almost every neighborhood is HOA.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time finding stuff that is not HOA.
Oh no, I actually had HOA, yes, my bad. But
Yeah,
yes, I actually had yes, and it didn't show anything.
yeah. If you look at all of the sales in San Antonio and then you click on no HOA, you're gonna lose 75% of them.
Interesting.
Yeah,
No, I actually
that's
had yes HOA, so it did had HOA, and it still didn't show me much. Am I still doing the correct research? I had yes HOA.
yeah. I think it just depends on working with your filters and trying to figure out what's going on. You know, do less filters, and you have to remember. So okay, you brought something up that's important if you're using Privy. Those filters are compounding. Remember that. So they're not like I want properties that have no HOA and then I want this property. No, when you're clicking all those little filters, it'll only bring up properties that meet all of those filters together. So don't forget that.
Got it. And just to clarify, if I'm doing the correct way that I'm searching for the properties that he asked, if he said 200,000 and lower, what should I put in the ARV? I'm a little confused there.
Well, he's wanting to buy at 200,000 or lower, right?
Correct.
So basically what we're doing here is basically what you're asking. If he's buying something at 170, let's say, this would be within his buy box if he was willing to do a fix and flip or willing to do rehab on it,
Correct.
right?
But what should I put when I'm doing the criteria, the filter? What should I put in the ARV? That's where I'm a little confused.
Well, you don't put ARV when you're searching in Privy. It won't tell you what ARV is. You have to determine ARV.
I mean, when it says filter and I'm searching for active properties, there's that blue box that says MLS deals.
Put
Fix and
everything under
flips,
200,000.
Excuse me?
Yeah, put everything under 200,000 because that's what your buyer wants. Yeah, you can't determine, Privy won't determine ARV for you. You have to determine that yourself.
Got it. And when I do the filter, what do I put? It says there ARV percentage.
It's a hard one to answer because, well, I mean, Privy does that for you where it'll determine percentage of ARV based on other comps in the area. So it just depends on, I mean, there's so many factors, it's hard for me to tell you exactly. In this market climate, I would say look at below 70% to ARV. Absolutely below 70% ARV. Try to get closer to 50% if you can.
Got it. So when I put the filters, I put 200,000 in ARV, 70%.
Yeah. I mean, if he's wanting to spend no more than 200,000, but then rehab it and it costs 400,000, you still bought under 200,000. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, just play around with it, and eventually you'll get some numbers that come up how you want them. And I'm not a Privy expert by any means. I know Benson has training in YouTube and also on the Privy site, and I'm sure he can. I mean, he's the Privy man, so I'm sure he
Cool.
can do. I'll do my best. I'm happy to help however I can.
Cool. Thank you.
For
Thank you,
sure.
Rob. Appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thanks for coming out, Emmanuel. It's good to see you again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So back to our property, we determined rehab costs of 46,500. Everybody saw how I got, is there any questions about how I determine rehab cost? Hold on a second. I'm gonna keep going. If you guys wanna hang out with me, that's cool. I'll go until my eyes fall and I'm tired and sleepy, but I'll keep going. So out of our formula, let's put in our formula again. MAO equals ARV times 70% minus rehab minus assignment, our assignment fee. So the rehab portion of that formula we have figured out. Okay. We also have the assignment portion figured out because that's something we get to pick. Average across the US right now for wholesaling assignments is in the ballpark of 15,000 plus or minus. 10,000 could be 10,000. It could be much higher if there's a big enough spread and you're confident that you can sell it at a much higher spread, you can make it higher. But in general, a blanket statement average is about 15,000. So out of those 4 numbers, we have 2 of them figured out. We have 3 of them figured out because we know 70% is what we want. Now we have to determine what our ARV is going to be. So now what we're doing is we're comping. We're comping out. Hold on a second. I gotta mute these reminders. We're comping. We haven't determined if we're at a deal yet. We're still comping. So this is where Privy helps us. First off, I only want to see currently sold, already sold properties. I don't care if it's on market right now or if it's pending or whatever. I want to see already sold. So I had to reset my filters. Here we are. I'm going to get rid of all these under contract.
Hi, Mimi.
You can't comp. You can't comp
I did,
based
yes.
on
It's just been a little busy and I haven't.
who is this? Who is this talking to us? Somebody's talking to us. Mike, muted. Gotcha. Sorry. Perfect. Okay. So I only want stuff that's already sold because you can't run a comp against something that is not sold yet because you don't know what it's sold at. Now we know our property is this grayed out one here. And we want to compare our property like for like, apples for apples. So we already talked about having extra bedrooms is a significant game changer. So I'm not going to look at properties that have significantly different floor plans and room size, room numbers and all that stuff. So there's a lot of properties here I don't need to see. Because one step back, don't think about potential yet, right? We talked about like, oh, this could potentially be a 3-bed, 2-bath. No. That's not how you comp. We're comping what is it now? What is this property worth right now in its current state, in its current condition? Right? That's the starting point. So right now, this is a 2-bed, 1-bath, and I'm gonna try my best to compare it against other 2-bed, 1-baths. Did our house have a garage? Our house did not have a garage as far as I can tell. There's not even space to put a garage. There's not even space for a driveway. Is there a driveway? Oh, come on. I should have went the other way with my little clicker, but there is not even a driveway on our house. So that's something we should keep in the back of our minds because all of these other houses, except for this top one, they have garages. The other thing we have to look at is year built, because clearly an older house is way different than a newer house. So ours is 1944. For the sake of our demonstration, we're going to do plus minus 10 years or so. So minus 10 years would be 1934. Plus 10 years would be 1954. Truthfully, between 1954 and 1960, there wasn't a large change in construction technology. Back in the old days, things were made good, and that continued through the 60s, I think. So I'm okay with leaving this particular one, but you're welcome to do it however you'd like. So, but I'm going to leave it there. Also for the case that it's like our property, doesn't have a garage. Now, the other thing I look at is I want it to be comparable to within the last 90 days or so. Clearly, we don't have that. Maybe this one here, but that's still just over 90 days. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep, these two just for sake of our demonstration. It's better to be as close as possible, within the last few weeks, if possible. And this is another thing we need to consider. Listen, it's been over 3 months since any property in this area has sold. Has sales in this area slowed down? That's maybe something we need to consider for our type of property, right? But let's say for the sake of our discussion today, these two properties seem to be pretty valid comparables. They're within a quarter mile of our target property. They are slightly larger than our property, both in terms of square footage. Slightly larger lots, not really. I mean, you'd be hard to press to find an extra 10 square feet, But in a house, when it's tiny like this, 100 square feet is, could be significant. But we're gonna treat them as valid comps. Now, our price of 170, what this house is listed at, no worries, Carly, totally okay. This is way higher than our house, which leads me to think perhaps these properties have been rehabbed. And so we're going to look at them. The answer for this one is yes, this property has been rehabbed. We can clearly see it's got new paint, nice and modern. It's got a beautiful driveway, so it's already nicer than ours. Nice garage door, brand new windows. So clearly we need to replace the windows in our house if we're going to try to bring it to at least this kind of valuation, right? Because this is what this property sold for in this current rehab state. So if we want to get anywhere near this price, we need to bring our rehab to the same quality, same level, right? New kitchen cabinets, new nice countertops. They still went with that whole 2-floor system, which is not Robert's favorite. Paint is nice. It's clearly everything's been touched in this property. Oh boy, look at that. Lovely. Yeah. So I'm a super stickler for tile. This is a B grade for me. But yeah, nice new bathroom, new kitchen. Everything's been touched. 2-bed, 1-bath. This is the garage, so it's okay. It doesn't have to have finished walls in the garage. The Mustang, nice. Beautiful deck in the back. Beautiful grass. This is way nicer than our property, okay? So this one is 310, but it's a valid comp. This one was 250. Also clearly rehabbed. At least they did paint for sure. For sure they did paint. This is definitely a cost factor that you need to consider. I would have to end up replacing that because my boys like to ride bikes and skateboards and stuff. So this for me is 100% needed to be replaced. Paint job for sure. This is a cosmetic fix, I think. Yeah, they didn't replace tiles. They painted the cabinets, I would bet. Still have the old white appliances, still the old sink and countertops. So this was a cosmetic, like, let's just do it really quick. So yeah, this is like 99-cent tile at Home Depot. It's their basic standard stuff. I bet you these are original floors though. Those are pretty wood floors. I like those. Again, the whole three different kinds of floors. This is for sure. I would need to replace all of this. I mean, look at this. It's all sunken, and that's a significant cost saving. Sunk cost that I would have to do in my personal, if it was me. It looks like they have new HVAC though. That's a nice new condenser out there. So yeah, this is if we were to do so. What we've understood by looking at these two properties is this 250 was a lipstick fix. This top one was a little bit more work. They did the bathrooms, they did the kitchens. Those are high ticket things. And they were able, with doing that extra work, they were able to get an extra 60,000 in terms of ARV. Now, will our property be able to be lipsticked? No. We talked about it. Those walls, all that paneling needs to come off. The kitchen needs to be redone. The bathrooms need to be redone. HVAC needs to be done. The windows, we didn't look at the windows in this lipstick one actually. But they look like newer windows to me. Let's see if we can get a closer look. I mean, it looks like new windows to me. It doesn't look like, yeah, because they have the double thing. Yeah, I mean, this one looks actually aluminum. So let's say we don't have to do windows, right? But we're still talking about a new bathroom, a new kitchen, because our bathroom is in much worse shape than this, and our kitchen is in much worse shape. So they definitely, you can't just paint the cabinets and call it good. These cabinets are in way better shape than ours are. So in order for us to do anything, we're going to have to sink some significant money into it. And we already know that that's in the ballpark of 46,500 or so. So now we can kind of, we still have to determine ARV, right? So looking at these two, this being a lipstick at 250, at 310 being potentially a gut job. I would say we could probably get the 310. We don't have a garage. Let's take 10K off for that. We'll call it 300. The other thing we should really consider is the market. In the last 30, 60, 90 days, the market has dropped, right? Since May, for sure, the market has dropped. So there's no way that this property would sell at 310 today. How much should we take off? Most people right now are saying about 15% in that general ballpark. So let's talk 300 we said 300,000 because no garage times 0.15 comes out to 45,000. So our ARV is potentially somewhere closer to this one down here. 250, 260, 270. We'd be pushing 270, 275, right? So we'll keep that in our mind. Let's call it, for the sake of our discussion today, let's call it 270. Everybody see how I kind of got there? Broad strokes. We're talking broad strokes. We're not being nitpicky in this demonstration. I'm just giving a basic overview of what comping and underwriting looks like. So let's go back to our formula, MAO. So We know that our ARV is roughly in the $270,000 ballpark. We're going to take that 270 and we're going to multiply it by 0.7, which gives us $189,000. Okay. Out of that 189, we're going to subtract 46,500, which we said was our rehab costs, which gets us to $142,000. Okay. From 142,000, we're going to subtract our assignment fee, which we're going to say is 15,000. Right? We talked about how that's about the average of what an assignment fee for a wholesaler is across the country. Okay? So 142,000 minus 15,000 assignment fee, we come out to 127,500 for our MAO, maximum allowable offer. Okay? Now, the other thing we have to talk about is negotiations. We want to allow ourselves room for negotiating. So we know that our maximum allowable offer is roughly 127,500. Maybe we can talk about a first offer. Maybe our first offer should be lower than this. How about we offer somewhere in the ballpark of 115, 120, somewhere in there. And how did I come up with that? I made it up. Arbitrary. I would start negotiations around 115,000. That's what Robert would do. Now, if we're in San Antonio and there was a 2-bed, 1-bath on the market, I would be hard pressed to offer more than 80,000. Because that's how the market is in San Antonio. But we're not talking about San Antonio. We're talking about this particular market, this particular house, all the numbers we just ran. Our maximum allowable offer, 127,500. Maybe start negotiations at 115 so that if the seller counters, we can eventually hopefully meet somewhere around that 127,500, right? Perfect, exactly, Carly. There's American pickers all day. We're picking out these American houses and that's what we're doing. So both of these numbers, our first offer and our maximum allowable offer, are both significantly less than what the house is selling for. Significantly. We're talking about $40,000 difference, easy. Okay, so now comes the part of trying to talk to the agent, right? The property as is clearly not a deal at 170,000. Because you would have, let's run the numbers. If it's $170,000 and we know based on our evaluation that we need at least 46,500 to do rehabs on the inside. Recall, we haven't in those numbers I gave you guys earlier, we didn't talk about exterior costs. Which is just to freshen up the yard is going to cost us $5,000 to lay sod and to do a little bit of flowers and bushes and spruce it up just a little bit. So that's another, we haven't even talked about that yet, right? Just interior. Yeah, we didn't even look at the roof. We didn't even there. So one of the things I posted up there was, add up number 11, add up your reno and add 15%. We didn't even do that. This is just like strictly what rehab costs would be inside and maybe painting the outside. There's still extra costs that we haven't talked about yet. This is like super best case scenario, right? I'm painting a broad stroke brush here. But when you're comping and underwriting, you need to take all those costs into factor in. You need every single one, you need to budget it, you need to put it in. This is part of underwriting. This is how we determine this is how a lead becomes a deal and how we determine that, right? So if we were to start with that 170,000 plus a 46,500, 170 plus 46, we're talking about 216,500 just to get the property kind of ready. And I don't think we haven't even factored in assignment fee and realtors fees and all that other stuff. So at 170, it's not a good deal. This is not a deal. Plus, if you brought this property to me, to Robert, and said, hey, I found this property on the MLS, it's $170,000. Is it a good deal? First off, I would say no. Second, what value are you really bringing me? Because I can just go straight to the agent and buy it myself. Right? I don't need you necessarily to bring me a property that's on market to try to get it to me at the price that it's already at. You're not providing value there. Now, if you were to come to me and you're $50,000 under that asking price, I mean that's potentially interesting to me, right? You're bringing extra value based on what that property is listed at. So yes, now we're talking about negotiating. Would it be okay for you to bring a property to Robert and be like, hey, this is listed at 170. I've comped it. I've underwritten it. I think our maximum allowable offer is $120,000 or so. Can you work with me on talking to the agent? Absolutely. Now you're at a place where I can work with you. But you guys are all amazing people and you're here because you're wanting to learn. And this whole process of underwriting and comping and all this stuff is what you can be doing. If you're afraid to call an agent, if you're afraid to submit an offer, then I'm happy to help. Super happy. We have amazing people who can help. It doesn't have to be me. I can point you in the right direction. If you'd rather work with someone else, no problem. I'm happy to see you all win. Any questions about any of that? Comping and underwriting. Just basic, super high level overview. We haven't done like really nitpicky stuff yet. I hope I did it in a way where most of us can understand and see what's going on. Please ask me questions. Carly, what's up? Oh, I muted you. I'm sorry. You hit mute and then I unmute. We both hit it. Go ahead.
Thanks, mute. But no, I was just wondering for properties without much around, and this just may fall into the category of there's not much going on here, like you just shouldn't go after this. But if there's something interesting, but there's not a lot of comps around, are there any other workarounds, or is that sort of a something beyond Elephant Challenge that you learn kind of down the road?
Yeah, it's a bit beyond Elephant Challenge, but if it's something that's interesting, sometimes it's hard to comp stuff. It's more of an art. It's not always a science. And you do your best, and that's the best you can do. It's hard to comp, rural property sometimes because things haven't sold in decades and nobody knows what this is worth. And I have 10 outbuildings and this guy has just the barn, and some things like that is very hard to comp.
Yeah, and it's coming from a real example. So we had someone trying to sell their house. He wanted $900,000 and that's what he wanted. And I was looking at this area and some houses had recently sold for like 200, some for 1.5 million, they were subdividing some lots. And I was like, okay, there's something happening here, but I don't know how to make sense of this yet. So I just thought it was kind of strange and frustrating, being one of the first things that popped up for me. So just while it was in the forefront, I figured I would ask.
Yeah, totally understandable. But yeah, Elephant Challenge is all about like, let's try to get, that's what I recommend. Try to get bread and butter, like 3 bed, 2 bath, normal neighborhood homes, not too high of a price point, not too low of a price point, something that everyone's gonna want to buy and that everyone's gonna want to live in, and that it's easy to find buyers and sellers for. Yes, there's a lot of competition because everybody wants those, but there's also a lot of opportunities.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely. And this was before I just jumped in. I was helping a woman who was already wholesaling and I wanted to learn it. And so I just did it. And now I will be glad to have gone through Elephant since I haven't even started yet. So definitely getting ahead of myself. But yeah, so that's helpful. Thank you.
awesome, you're awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
Hey,
Hey, Al,
Rob.
what's up?
Yeah, I don't know if this would help Carly at all, because I know she's talking about trying to figure out what to list a property at, but there is that other method. I don't know if it's Jamil or Brent. I don't think it's Pace, but somebody says when you can't comp one way, another method is to go to the 4 or 5 um, the 4 or 5 listing services like Realtor.com or Zillow, and take all 5, add them up, and then divide by 5 to get the average. And I don't know if that's helpful at all, but I've seen some people resort to that when they can't, find another method that works.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not going to be a science in those situations, and
Right.
you do the best you can. And luckily, you guys are in in and around a community now that can help you with like, hey, I got something that's way out of left field. Can someone help me kind of figure out what's going on here? It would be much harder, obviously, if you're by yourself and you have no resources at all. I would like, don't do that. Like, find now that you're here, you don't have that issue, but yeah, I can imagine how it would be trying to do all this by yourself. Crystal, I feel like some wholesalers in San Antonio send us 3-1 properties that are such high price with no meat on the bone. Amen, you're preaching. They seem priced more like in Dallas or Houston. Yep, do you see that changing in San Antonio? Because when we comp them, we're more in the 80K range depending on zip codes. Absolutely, Crystal. And I'm sure Stefan would agree with me. 3-1s, 80K range, 2-1s, 60, 65K range. That's what they're buying at. I don't even look at those properties anymore. There's so many of them in San Antonio, and I just don't have time for that. Exactly. Nobody wants 2-1s. Nobody wants 3-1s. Like, it's such a small, limited amount of people who want those kinds of properties. And I'm just not in those types of circles. Haley, kind of random but curious. As a wholesaler, if you contract with a seller's realtor, okay, to be your realtor too through dual agency, when you go to assign it to the buyer, okay, I'm gonna stop right there. Can't do that in Texas. Tori, Crystal, they're here. They can answer. Dual agency is not allowed in Texas unless a broker mediates it. So be careful and watch what state you're in and make sure that's actually legal in your state. Yeah, other states, yeah, for sure. But yeah. So if you contract with the seller's realtor to be your realtor too through dual agency, when you go to assign it to the buyer, are they pretty much forced to work with that agent? Um, if you tell your agent they can have the whole commission if they represent you too, then assign the contract. Are you screwing them? So if it's a situation like a double closing, for example, where you're controlling that B2C transaction where it goes from you to the buyer to the last buyer, and you do it through a double closing, then you don't have to have the agent involved in that portion of it. When you close your portion, your A to B transaction with the seller, that's where the agent represents you and the seller, right? You close that transaction at title, and then the next transaction, which is between you and your buyer, then that the agent is not, unless you give them the right to do that, they're not involved in that transaction. And generally don't have to be because you're already at title. You know, you're doing it usually same day, usually within a few hours, the double close thing. That's one way to do it. I hope I answered your question, Haley. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you don't, unless you want them to be, if for some reason. I don't think it's necessary. Now, if you need like, you know, if you're doing a situation like we talked about where you're doing a double close, and you know, this is this is the transaction that I did with Tori and Crystal, where we had like a double close where they needed EMD to fund that A to B portion. You get a gator to come in like me and provide that funding to help that transaction go through. And then when your B to Z, B to C portion of your transaction happens with that end buyer, you get paid once that escrow closes. So that's gator funding there. Cool. Haley, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Okay, if there's no more questions or anything, again, let's recap a little bit. We did a little bit of like high level comping and underwriting, trying to figure out if a lead is a deal or not. I'm happy to do this stuff with you guys every week. It's cool. I enjoy doing it. I'm not the best necessarily. There's lots of people who can comp better than me, but I'm happy to show you the way I do it. Again, sign up for Elephant Challenge if you're not already signed up. Make sure you're in the Facebook groups. Make sure you're in Discord. If you have a lead that you've comped and underwritten and you believe could be a potential deal, feel free to DM me on socials. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and on Discord. I use the same handle everywhere I'm at. You can search my let's see. I don't even know what my YouTube channel is called. I think it's just my name. But I put all these into my YouTube channel, so you can see recaps of them. It takes me a couple days sometimes to. There's the YouTube channel link. It takes me a couple days sometimes to get in there and get them uploaded, but I'm happy to do that and get you guys in there to see them. So yeah, sign up for Elephant Challenge, get Privy going. You can go back and watch past Elephant Challenges, or at least portions of them, at least to get an idea. Go into Privy's YouTube channel. They do lots of great training in there. Benson does on his website. There's great training too. And you don't necessarily, have to use Privy's training, but he does a good job. Benson does a good job, and he'll show you how he does stuff too. Cool. If you got my handles, if you need anything, feel free to reach out. Any questions or anything, I'm happy to help. No problemo. If you're interested in, oh, I do have an idea. If you're interested at all in like bird dogging or anything like that, and like you feel like you got a handle on it and you're wanting to get started, maybe join a team, I can send you in the right direction for that. It is right here. Right here. Here's a link if you're interested in bird dogging at all. And that's all. I appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with me. All the people on Facebook. And I know, see, I did it again. I did it again. I completely forgot about Facebook until the very end. And now all the Facebook people are going to be mad at me. I'm sorry. I'm awesome, but I am not perfect. I don't even know where to find myself on here. Anyway, well, I'm happy I can try to help as best as I could. Appreciate you guys. Again, we'll be here next week. I'll be here next Tuesday, and then right after ours that following week will be Elephant Challenge. Hope to see you all there. I'll be there too. Have a great one. Have a good night.